Anteater, developed and distributed by Tego Electronics in 1982, is an arcade title that combines elements of strategy, precision and timing. The game uses an unconventional control mechanic. Instead of directly maneuvering the protagonist, the player controls the long, flexible tongue of an anteater, which must extend through an underground tunnel system to catch ants and other insects. The anteater remains static on the surface, while movement occurs through the stretching and withdrawal of the tongue along the corridors of the labyrinth. The objective of the game is to collect enough ants and insects to complete each level, without taking damage from enemies or obstacles. The anteater's tongue can move both horizontally and vertically, following the labyrinthine structure of the tunnels. Every time the tongue passes over an ant, it is eaten and the player earns points. However, some insects pose deadly threats. Poisonous worms, these enemies are deadly to the tip of the tongue. If the tongue comes into contact with a worm, the player loses a life. Spiders move along the edges of tunnels and are only dangerous to the base of the tongue, closest to the anteater. If a spider touches the beginning of the tongue, the player loses a life. Enemies move at predefined intervals, and the player must carefully manage the extension of the tongue to avoid getting stuck in dangerous situations. Quickly withdrawing the tongue is essential to escape sudden threats, which requires precise timing and good planning. The game encourages a strategy of risk versus reward. While a longer tongue allows you to reach remote areas of the maze, it also becomes more difficult to withdraw it in case of danger, increasing exposure to enemies. Players must balance the ambition of collecting as many insects as possible with the need to retreat safely. This mechanic creates intense tension during gameplay, as each move must be carefully calculated. Anteater's levels become progressively more complex as the player progresses. The mazes become more intricate and the enemies more aggressive, increasing the overall difficulty. The number of insects and ants to collect also grows, forcing the player to make quicker and more precise decisions. Anteater stands out technically for its innovative control mechanics and its well-balanced difficulty curve. The game engine handles tongue movement smoothly, with precise collisions and immediate feedback. The graphics are minimalist, with simple colors and a clear visual design that emphasizes the readability of the levels and enemies. Sound is equally essential, with sound effects signaling major actions such as the eating of ants or approaching dangers.
Anteater, a 1982 arcade classic, is a journey into the depths of the earth, but not just any journey. As a hungry anteater, you move through intricate underground tunnels in search of delicacies, ants and insects. The twist? You don't control the anteater itself, but its tongue. Like a sinuous snake, your tongue stretches out in twisting meanderings, trying to reach every nook and cranny to capture your prey. Strategy becomes the heart of the game. The more you stretch your tongue, the more vulnerable you become. Poisonous worms and hostile insects test your skill and timing, forcing you to balance risk and reward. The fast pace and the balance between attack and defense transform Anteater into a unique mix of action and puzzle. Visually simple yet incredibly engaging, Anteater is a minimalist hunt where your cunning and reflexes are your only weapons to dominate the underground.
Anteater is an example of intelligent arcade design, where unique gameplay mechanics combine with an increasing level of challenge to create a compelling experience. The simplicity of its rules is offset by the strategic complexity required to advance through the levels, making it a memorable game for its era.